as the Kenobi show is coming out in a few days, I thought I'd make a video going through all of the LEGO Darth Vader boss fights from the original in the complete saga to the most recent adaptation in the Skywalker saga. So with that, sit back, relax and enjoy this video. Before starting this video, we're gonna go through all of the main level of the boss fights, and by the end of the video, I'm gonna go through my personal favorite Darth Vader boss fight. So that's how the video is going to go. So with that, let's get into the first rendition of the boss fight in the complete saga, and this fight comes in the form of a confrontation on Dagobah. The fight itself has 8 hearts, which is a relatively normal amount of hearts for a boss fight in the complete saga, and this fight is fairly simple, with there being 4 stages of the fight. With each stage, you will need to hit Vader twice. With that, he will jump to a new area, which then the player will have to perform some platforming to reach that new area. This fight is a very simple fight, however, it introduces Vader as a boss fight and the mechanics that would later be tweaked in the later renditions of the bosses inside of the complete saga. So overall, it's a very simple fight, however, it's more focused on getting you used to the combat mechanics of the bosses so that later on you are more familiar with the fight itself. In a way, it's like a tutorial for the next boss fight, which is the Darth Vader boss on Bespin or Cloud City. This fight will put you straight into the Carbonite freezing room, with Vader being thrown straight at you. In the fight, you will need to damage Vader and eventually he will jump onto a carbon trap, with R2-D2 having to activate the trap. The start of the fight is fairly simple, with the majority of the fight focusing on the combat aspect, with parts of platforming sprinkled into the level. With Vader's first phase done, you can leave this room, and from here you will need to platform your way to the next location, which you will start the second phase of the fight. Here, you will need to utilize R2-D2 and Luke's abilities, with the fight is again another all-out attack on Darth Vader. The combat is fairly simple, with the fight focusing more on the puzzle aspect, with that Vader will go through some phases where you will need to repeat the same action again, and eventually you will fully deplete his health. Once this phase is done, Vader will retreat to the next room, with this portion of the fight mainly focusing on the Force, as Vader will throw some debris in your way, which you will need to deflect it back toward Vader. After this, you will need to attack Vader, and this will repeat 4 times. With that, you can platform your way out of this room, and now the fight is basically following Vader. You will need to carefully platform your way toward Vader, and eventually you will be able to take him on in a one-on-one situation. The fight is again pretty simple, with a few ground pounds you should be easily able to defeat Darth Vader in the complete saga. So let's now zoom forward 15 years to the Skywalker saga, with the next Vader boss being the Dagobah confrontation. This fight is a little different, as it isn't really a full-length boss. I really liked the cave and the haze it gave off. This gave the fight an actual horror aspect, which was really nice. And also, I really liked how Vader pops out of nowhere, and I really thought that it was quite a nice touch, but the fight is really easy, with Vader only having 1 heart. The boss is just again a glimpse of the later Vader fights, and with that, let's move into the Bespin boss. And this Vader boss fight on Bespin starts straight off with the player taking on Vader. Everything down to the visuals to the gameplay is truly nailed in this boss fight. Darth Vader has multiple attacks, with the Force Dash being one of them, the others being the ground pound, and lastly the Force Choke. This boss fight then shifts as the player is thrown into the Carbonite freezing chamber. You will need to deactivate the machine with R2-D2, and at this point you will be able to take on Vader in a blade lock sequence. With that, Vader will disappear, making the player have to navigate their way through the Bespin hallways. A constant threat of Vader is always there, so when you eventually start to hear the infamous breathing of Vader, the fight will resume, and this phase is again the same. However, at the end of the phase, Vader will start to throw debris at Luke, which eventually you will be flung straight out of the window, and at this point you will need to explore the under area of the facility, which again Vader will be lurking. When you find Vader, this time a epic lightsaber duel commences with a button spam sequence. Once you avoid the attacks of Vader, the final stage of the fight will start. This is the most movie accurate Vader fight, which implements moments in the movie but also adds more to the fight itself. With that, let's move into the last Darth Vader LEGO boss fight. Alright, so for the last Darth Vader boss, this is going to be the Fulfill Your Destiny fight on the second Death Star. The fight starts off with you versus Vader in a one-on-one. Again, Vader's attacks are the same with the mix-up of a saber throw attack. Once you deplete Vader's health, Luke will back off to the catwalk where you will need to avoid Vader's saber throws. Once you are down on the ground, you will need to hide from Vader, and at this point there will be a yellow meter on the ground, and this resembles Vader's view. Once you get out of this area, the second phase of the fight will begin, and from here it's a last stand against Darth Vader. With that, you will enter a blade lock sequence, and with that you will have defeated Darth Vader on the second Death Star. Each of these fights offer a unique experience, and each fight has unique qualities which make them better in their own way. From a more platforming approach in the earlier Darth Vader fights to the bosses becoming more focused on combat. The fight I think is the best adaptation of a LEGO Darth Vader boss is the Skywalker Saga's Revelations, or the Bespin Darth Vader fight. This is one of those levels that are just perfect in every way. Everything from the combat to the mission's pacing, it's just truly a great boss fight. This mission shows Darth Vader in a way that no other mission does. The boss is fairly simple, as are most LEGO bosses, but the gameplay alone is just top tier, and overall this is, in my opinion, the best version of a LEGO Darth Vader boss fight there is. So with that, that is all for this video. If you guys have enjoyed, and if you are hyped for the Kenobi show, then smash a like, as it does help this video spread to more viewers on the platform. Anyways, with that, until next time, take it easy guys, and goodbye.